Hey, it's James, Father's Rights and Resources, hashtag how I got custody. Here's a couple things about fairness that the court is supposed to abide by. We know most of them don't, but nobody ever brings them up into court, so it's time to start bringing them up. One of the problems with the court system is that men or their attorneys are too scared or cowardly to tell the judges what they're supposed to do. That's your job. Just like a coach tells the referee, hey, you missed this call. Hey, this is the rule on that. So when nobody's in there reminding the judges what they're supposed to do and nobody's holding them accountable, they just do whatever they want. And then everybody's scared to say anything to them, even though that's their job. So if you actually have balls and you're not scared to tell the judge what the law says and what legal doctrines are, first and foremost, one of the fairness doctrines is the fundamental fairness doctrine. There's two parts to that. That's the right to be notified of a proceeding, and number two is the right to be heard. So the right to notice is pretty clear. You have a right to be notified of every proceeding always. Nobody can secretly go to court behind your back. Nobody can have ex parte communications. I could hear it right now. People saying, well, my baby's mom had ex parte communications with the judge. What'd you do about it? Don't whine and cry in the comments to me about your loser story that you didn't do jack shit about. Go do something about it. And if you did something about it and it didn't work, or the judge was still doing what they were doing, go expose the judge. Do a video on them. Protest them. Stop sitting around on your ass doing nothing. Part 2 of the fundamental fairness doctrine, when it says that you have a right to be heard, is the right to fully be heard and have a chance to prepare to be heard. So if they try and hurry up and rush you and say, well, and you say, hey, I'm not ready for this hearing, they'll say, well, that's too bad. You need to hurry up and go because the system is churning away. No, I have a constitutional right under the fundamental fairness doctrine to be notified of proceeding and a right to be fully heard. And you have an obligation to hear all the evidence. If you just want me to be railroaded or ambushed, then that's not fair. That's what the fundamental fairness doctrine is. Now, one of the exceptions to giving notice is, of course, going to ex parte and get an emergency restraining order. And the rules that govern that are the rules on injunctions. If you Google your state, California, civil rules, injunctions, Texas, civil rules, injunctions, you'll find a rule that no temporary emergency order shall be entered unless notice is given to the other side. Unless the person proves by an affidavit, and there's plenty of evidence that there will be irreparable harm if they're not heard before giving notice. For example, a woman will go down there and say, hey, look, I need a restraining order. He's threatened to kill me, or he's going to kill me. I need a restraining order. He'll kill me. As if, which is stupid, because if somebody's willing to kill you, they're willing to risk the death penalty or life in prison. That's a worse penalty than violating a piece of paper or a protection order. But nobody ever brings that up either. See, there's all kinds of stuff you guys could be bringing up in court, and you don't bring stuff up in court, and then you get creamed, and then you wonder why you get creamed, and you never went to court and told them the truth, the facts, the law, the rules, or nothing. You just thought by osmosis or, transcendental meditation or by seance or something, the judge is going to figure out what's really going on. You go to court to tell a judge what your side of a story is, and your pussy-ass bitch attorney and your pussy-ass all sit back and don't tell the court what's going on. Don't tell the court how abusive the mother is and mentally ill and how she's alienating the children and how the guardian litem is biased, and then you get railroaded, and you can't believe it. That's like somebody breaking your house, stealing your car, you don't tell the cops, and you can't believe that they're still roaming out free, stealing from somebody and carjacking. Your punk ass didn't do anything about it. And, people are like, don't talk to me that harshly. And what else do I call it when you have a right or a chance to say something and you don't do it? Are you a hero for being quiet and keeping the peace and not offending the mother? If your baby's mom is alienating your kids, she's a child abuser. If you have somebody in the neighborhood who's a child molester, do you say, well, let me do the right thing and not snitch on them? I don't want to disturb anybody's peace. if I talk about that person being a pedophile, people look at me weird, or they may not be able to get a job. That's what you're supposed to do, you dumbass mother effer. And if your baby's mom is abusing your kids, you should be going for custody of your kids to rescue them from being alienated and abused. Would you let a total stranger? Would you let your kids stay the night at a house where, like, let's say you have a daughter and her friend, she stays the night at her friend's house, and the brother slaps them both around? Would you let somebody assault your daughter again? You would never bring your kid back to that house again. Yet you allow child abuse and some of the worst kind, which is alienation. Dr. Childress says that alienation is just as bad as sexual and physical abuse. It's the same trauma. So why do you allow it? If you allow a child to be traumatized by abuse and you don't say or do anything, what does that make you? A punk-ass bitch little pussy. So when I call you guys pussies for not standing up for your kids, you are the only person who can rescue your kid. So when I sit here and tell people stuff, what works for hundreds and thousands of other people, and the main ingredient for them to go to court to get victory was for them to grow some balls and be courageous, and you're still a cowardly little pussy shriveling in the corner like a little scaredy cat? What else am I supposed to call you? You're supposed to wake up and change your mind and do something different. She's got the fundamental fairness doctrine, the right to be notified and the right to be heard, and the right to be fully heard and prepare a full defense against a restraining order or somebody taking your kids away. Then there's the general legal principle, or basic doctrine of fairness and equity. Of course, it's supposed to be fair and equal. If somebody murders somebody, the killer should go to prison for life or get the death penalty, an eye for an eye kind of thing. If a doctor did a surgery on you and it cost you $50,000 and they screwed it up and you had to go get another surgery for $50,000, you should get $50,000 back, maybe $50,000 more for pain and suffering, or whatever's the equal amount that compensates you. So in family court, if a mother was slaving away and being a housewife, and then the dad was cheating on her all the time and he's abusive toward the kids, and now she has to get custody and get back on her feet, and she's not educated to get a job, then ideally it's fair and equitable for her to get some alimony, get back on her feet, and this and that. But that stuff's way outdated because women are strong and powerful and independent, and they don't need that kind of help, supposedly. But those are the type of things that people look at for fair and equitable. And anytime you don't have anything that's fair, they didn't give you enough time. That's the fundamental fairness doctrine. But they look at you differently. They act differently. They allow the other person to slip stuff in, and they block your stuff out, and it's the same exact thing. Or they didn't serve you in a timely manner, and you objected, and they let it in, and you were a little late serving them, and they didn't let your stuff in. That's not fair and equitable. That's being treated different. Now, you should also read the Code of Judicial Conduct. That talks about being unbiased and being fair to litigants. 99.9% of you never read the Code of Judicial Conduct, and I tell you to read it in my videos. And if you're not going to get a consult with me and you want to learn everything you need to know, you need to go watch all my YouTube videos. And if you don't do that, or you don't get a consult with me, then you're a stupid jackass for not learning everything that you need to know to fight for your kid's life. Again, you are the only one who can fight for your kid. You're the only one who could light a fire under your attorney when your attorney's not doing their job. So if you're not getting informed about all your rights and all your options and all your opportunities, then you're a stupid jackass. And some of you might say, well, that's what I pay the attorney for. You stupid idiot. If you pay a mechanic and leave your car there and they start racking up and they start telling you all these different things, that's what they do to women usually. Oh, this is wrong with it. That's wrong with it. This is wrong. You say, no, I didn't ask for all that. I only needed a lube oil and filter. Or I only needed a tune-up. I don't need this, that, and the other, and need to spend $2,000. Then you stand up for yourself. But now with a family law attorney, you turn into a big pussy and let them just run the show. And then in the end, they just quit on you and they say, oh, well, you'll just have to settle on this. And you thought they were going to fight people, they didn't. So those are a few different things about fairness. There's a whole bunch of case law out there about fairness. You need to learn to look up case law. If you don't know how to do that, get a consult with me.